The Subaru Forester is a rather unique yet highly desirable SUV. Production of the fourth-generation SJ began over 10 years ago and ended in 2019, so you can buy a relatively new car. Therefore, the price range is wide. Which version should you choose? Every Subaru Forester is a four-wheel drive vehicle with a boxer engine. This gives it a so-called symmetric drivetrain, where the left and right sides weigh the same and share the same number of components. The SJ was the first generation of the Forester to emphasize the electronics controlling the drivetrain more than its design. Manual transmissions utilized a center differential, while automatics utilized a multi-plate clutch. However, in both cases, power is permanently transferred to both axles and operates equally effectively. The X-Mode system allows the driver to select a driving mode based on the terrain and trust the car to handle the situation. The traction control system and multi-plate clutch ensure torque is delivered where it's needed most. The gearbox and engine adapt their operating characteristics to the conditions. The suspension design is quite simple at the front, McPherson struts, and features a multi-link setup at the rear. It's also worth mentioning the Linertronic automatic transmission, a continuously variable transmission that may not appeal to everyone. However, the driver can select manual shifting. Formerly, in Europe, we had 3 engine choices, but many cars come from overseas, so in practice, there are 4 variants of the Forester SJ on the used market. The American version was available with a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine with 171 horsepower. It's also worth noting that this engine was also offered in Eastern markets. The second naturally aspirated engine was the 2.0 with 150 horsepower. This was the only gasoline engine offered with a manual transmission. It was also the least dynamic unit. Interestingly, this design is also known from the Subaru BRZ and Toyota GT86. Both naturally aspirated units feature indirect fuel injection. The second petrol variant offered in Europe, and the most dynamic engine in the range, is the 2.0-liter turbocharged petrol with direct injection. It develops 240 horsepower and accelerates to 100 kilometers per hour in 7.5 seconds. It's worth noting that this unit, FB20, is not related to the naturally aspirated version, FA20. The engines even have slightly different displacements. The standout engine in the range is the diesel. This 2-liter unit is also found in the older generation Forester and other models from the brand. It produces a modest 147 horsepower, but boasts a respectable 350 newton-meters of torque, available from just 1,400 revolutions per minute. This engine was paired with either a manual or automatic transmission. The diesel engine receives the worst reviews among engines, although it's very good in terms of performance. It offers decent dynamics and consumes less than 7 liters per 100 kilometers. For comparison, petrol engines consume between 9 liters per 100 kilometers, naturally aspirated, and 11 liters per 100 kilometers, turbo. The sweet spot might be the American 2.5-liter engine, which consumes around 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Diesel engines, while offering driving advantages, have virtually nothing but drawbacks. They're very expensive to repair, parts are only available from Subaru, and are unreliable. Despite numerous improvements, serious failures, such as crankshaft fractures, still occur. In engines with higher mileage, around 200,000 kilometers, expensive component failures, turbo, injectors, dual-mass flywheel, timing belt drive are a concern. Fortunately, these parts are readily available as aftermarket replacements. For example, a dual-mass flywheel costs around €2,800. Gasoline engines are highly regarded. The naturally aspirated engine is particularly reliable, and what's more, it can be retrofitted with an LPG system. Turbochargers are also available, but this is more expensive and less cost-effective. Both engines require frequent oil changes and monitoring, especially in turbocharged engines, as a significant amount of gasoline seeps into the oil, degrading it more quickly. The car prices clearly show which variants are better and which are worse. The significantly cheaper diesels are no coincidence. These are high-risk cars. The safest bet is to buy the weak but durable and relatively simple 2.0-liter petrol variant, and if power is insufficient, look for the American-made 2.5-liter version. The turbo petrol is also good, but a bit more demanding, both in terms of maintenance and finances. Owners rarely complain about this car. If they do have any complaints, they're about minor issues like the soft paint or soundproofing. Air conditioning system malfunctions occasionally occur. Newer cars can use expensive R1234YF refrigerant. It's rare, though it does happen, for a 2.0-liter engine to consume significant amounts of oil, and changing the oil to a higher viscosity grade helps. The manufacturer generally recommends 5W30 as the highest viscosity, but engines can handle even 10W minus 50/60ths. However, it's a good idea to consult with a mechanic. The Forester SJ's suspension isn't very durable, but servicing is usually limited to replacing components like silent blocks and linkages. In vehicles that are actually used off-road, these parts should be replaced more frequently. Dirt can also cause the braking system to malfunction. It's essential to remember about anti-corrosion protection if the car won't be kept in a garage, especially if it's going to be used in mountainous areas or off-road. It's very sensitive in this regard. When buying a car, even a relatively new one, it's also important to check the condition of the chassis. It's better to spend a few €1,000 on proper protection than to wonder what to do next after a few years. Electrical failures are quite common in American models, not because they're faulty, but because of their accident history. If a car was imported with significant damage, it may be repaired at a higher cost, which carries more serious consequences in the long run.